Hi friends, my name is Christina Grozik and I'm with a documentary called Going Om. It is an exploration into sound and we hope that it will inspire people to consider their relationship with it. And why just stop with the documentary? Because sound is everything, right? It's all energy, it's frequency, it's everywhere. So we are continuing the dialogue and the discussion about sound. And with me today, I have a very special guest. He is the former president of the Monroe Institute. He is also the president of the Expanded Awareness Institute. Dr. Scott Taylor, hello and welcome. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Christina, this is going to be fun. Great. Glad to be here.
It is always a good time to connect with you, no doubt about that. So I know there are so many different ways you use sound. So can you tell us, we're going to talk, I think, about vocal toning today. So can you tell us how you have used it in a vocal toning capacity and why that's important?
You bet. So I am steeped in the Monroe tradition. I've been a trainer for them for 35 years. And so I'm going to be using the language of the Monroe Institute. And I think it's really helpful because, a lot of the things that you talk about in Going Om are use one language, but there's lots of words to describe kind of the same thing. So when we talk about vocal toning, at the Monroe Institute, we call that resonant tuning. And resonant tuning, I believe that's a name that's not found anywhere else, and that was on purpose. Bob Monroe, the guy who founded the Monroe Institute, believed that he wanted to create a structure, a system that was different than other systems that didn't carry the baggage of the other systems. So he invented new language, new techniques, so that it wouldn't just interfere with, people's past memories of, this religious aspect or this tonal quality or whatever. So I think that's important that this is outside of a religious context. It's he had a very he was an engineer, a sound engineer, and he had a very kind of analytical mind when he started talking about how do you enter into expanded states of awareness, and we do it through sound. So sound in the Monroe system is used as part of the preparatory process. Now, when we go into states of meditation, we have found that it makes it a lot easier if you prepare yourself prior to going into these states of expanded awareness. It makes it easier to enter into them, and it makes them easier to hold these states of expanded awareness. So you actually get time, to play around and do what you want to do. So for us, it's a 5-part system. So the first thing that we do is that we connect with energy, with vibration, this thing that is all around us. And at Monroe, we view ourselves and everything around us as vibration. We are made up of vibration. The physical world is made up of vibration. The non-physical world is made up of different vibrations. Sometimes they overlap. And so it's important that when we try to enter into expanded states of awareness, that we begin to align who we are, our vibratory state, with where we want to go. And that's what it's all about. So the preparatory process is, first of all, we connect with energy. And then we go through a system where we clear that energy, get rid of all the junk that we have from living here in the physical world, all that nattering that happens in our brains. And then we have our toning. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. And then the fourth phase is that we then take and learn how to direct that energy so that we can move around in the non-physical universe. And then the last part is the quality of the energy. How do we take and refine that energy so we get to do more easily what it is we want to do in these expanded states of awareness? So in this 5-part system, you'll notice that vocal toning is right dead in the center. It's the third of the 5 different things that we do to connect with and manipulate our vibratory state. And And so what we're trying to do, it's like, okay, what we're raising up our energy level. That's what we do when we work on toning. We're taking the energy that we have right now and then raising it up so that we have more to work with and so that we have the ability to enter into and to match those states of expanded awareness. So we can easily step into them without having to do much work. And it's really easy once the energy is raised up. So what are we raising up? We're raising up our physical body so that, we're at a vibratory state right now. You could be good, you could be sluggish, you could be high, whatever. We're going to take and raise that up again, give it up another little notch. But as important, we're also raising the vibratory rate of our non-physical body. Because, at the Monroe Institute, we firmly believe that, we are non-physical beings residing within a physical body. And the Monroe Institute was founded by Bob Monroe, who was the very first person to write about out-of-body experiences. So we are very tuned into this non-physical body and what that's like and how you navigate the non-physical universe. So that's what we're doing, Christina. We're taking and moving our vibrations of our physical body, the container, and then at the same time, we're raising up the vibrations of our non-physical body. And then what we're doing at the same time is that we're listening to a series of layers of binaural beats. And I know that's another discussion for another day, but that helps refine where we're going and what we're doing, because by listening to binaural beats, audio again, it's sound, we enter into now very specific states of awareness. It takes that energy that we have raised up and refines it and refines it and refines it again, so we can move really exquisitely into these wonderful spaces. And each frequency in the non-physical universe, it's easier to do some kinds of things in there. If you want to talk with your dead relatives, there's a vibration for that. And where do we go when we're doing our life between lives? There's a vibration for that. What if we just want to experience things that are here in our physical universe, but are not close to us? Now there's a vibration for that. And how about that source of all being? What is it before we became into the physical? There's another vibration for that. So the combination of doing vocal toning and the binaural beats puts us right into this. By the mean, when I do that, I'm sorry, that means headphones. Sorry, but that, we're listening to them through headphones. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to gather up all of the subtle energies that are us as human and non-physical beings, and then be able to manipulate and direct them.
So Scott, I've got a question for the folks that are joining us that may not be familiar with the term binaural beats. Can you tell us a little bit about what constitutes binaural beats? What does that mean?
Sure, love to. This is a very old technology. It was discovered back in the late 1800s. And what they discovered was that if you took a pair of headphones and you put one vibration into one ear, say 100 hertz, and you put another vibration into the other ear, say 104 hertz, the brain tries to equalize the two, because that's what we do in the physical world. That's how we locate ourselves in physical space. By, okay, there's a sound that's coming from over here. Well, it enters into one ear a little sooner than the other. So in order to equalize them, we turn our head, and that's where the sound comes from. So it's a natural part of who we are. However, it can't be, because we have headphones on and you can't equalize those tones. And so what the brain then does is it sets up a third beat. It says 100 here, 104 here, but then it sets up a third beat, which is the difference between the two, which is 4. And then we hear the 4. We begin to resonate with 4. The brain starts to operate at 4 hertz. And both sides of the brain start to do that at the same time. instead of the hemispheres of the brain operating independently, they start to operate as one unit, vibrating at 4 hertz. So the cool thing about that is 4 hertz is deep sleep. So cool. I mean, if you want to go to sleep and you have trouble sleeping, you throw on an exercise that has 100, 104, boom, you're gone. But that's kind of the foundation for when we do our meditative work. We want our physical body to get out of the way. It's like, I don't particularly want to care. I don't care about it. Well, I do, but you know what I mean. It's just we want it to recede into the background so we can pay more attention to what's going on in the non-physical universe. And the genius of Bob Monroe was that he started to layer these binaural beats. So if you took and you did 100 and 112, now all of a sudden you get the frequency of 12, which is bright, awake, and clear mind. And you mix it with the other with 104. So now you have the body asleep, the mind awake, bright and clear, and you are in an expanded state of awareness that is extraordinary. And you can teach yourself to do this very quickly. All you have to do is listen. So the binaural beats are a safe and easy way to enter into expanded states of awareness. And the cool thing about binaural beats is you learn them. So after you've listened for a while, you can go, I don't need the headphones anymore. Just toss those to the side, close your eyes, remember what it felt like. Bam, you're right back there again. So it's a wonderful way to learn meditation, to learn how to enter into expanded states of awareness, and to do it safely and easily.
Yeah, I love how you just described that. Thank you for breaking that down for sure. And it's so many discussions have touched base, and there's been a thread between them about the memory and sound. And I think that's so important. And I think it's something we'll keep seeing more and more of in the future here. I think we already are actually, but the way you broke this down too, it's, sometimes I think when people hear these terms or they think of the topics that we're discussing, they think, oh, well, that woo stuff. It's science. I mean, you just demonstrated this is science. It's science. It's real. It's concrete, right?
So think about when some of those big moments in our life that were that have memory involved. I'm thinking of the first time I was ever in a cathedral, and I heard people chanting a Gregorian chant, and it just took me to a whole different place. Well, then later I did some research and found out, well, yeah, that's why they created that particular shape, because it does help create the binaural beat naturally in a physical environment. And all you have to do is to remember what it felt like when you heard those monks chanting for the first time or any time after that. I think of I trained with some shamans down in South America, and you do some chanting as part of that work, and same sort of thing. You can close your eyes, you can remember what the sound was like, you can remember what it felt like, and bam, you're right back in that space again. So I'm with you on that memory thing. That's I think a critical importance in terms of us being able to re-enter those spaces. I think for your listeners, one of the things that happened to me back in 1981 is that I had a shared near-death experience. And I wound up entering into a place that was so exquisite that I had to find a way to get back to that space again. It's just something that just drove me to say, I really need to do that, because I did it once, which means I can do it again. And this is like that. This is sound. You can use sound to go back to these places again. They're not one-offs. You can really go back and it's, think of the bowls and the gongs and all of the things that that we can use to re-enter into those same spots. So this avenue of sound just opens up a whole nother world for us that we're able to take advantage of.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you touching base on that, there's so many ways to access this. There's so many access and entry points. It's just finding out what resonates with you. And I think you had mentioned it earlier, the listening. You have to listen, right?
To listen.
Yeah, and I think like it's interesting because when I talk to people, and they ask like, oh, you know, how long have you been meditating, and how did you start your meditation practice? I mean, my meditation practice started with sound. The sound brought me to the silence, you know. So it was maybe different from what people had been recommending that I do, but that's how I found my entry point into meditation. And now I can, since I know how that space feels and how to access it, now I can literally sit and find that space. But it took me, I had to connect with it first, and it took the sound to bring me to the silence. So let's go back to vocal toning. So
Yes.
vocal toning, raising our vibration. How does this whole thing work with the vocal toning side of things? Is it something that anyone can do?
Well, one of the cool things is we come with our own cathedral. You know, we have built within us a sound chamber. I mean, it's our sinuses and our nasal cavity. So that part of our head has the ability to take the sounds that we have and that we're vocalizing and begin to resonate it. And that, of course, then helps sets up different brainwave patterns so that we're able to enter into these meditative states more easily. So I'm thinking what we ought to do here is just kind of go through how we teach it at Monroe. Would that be okay?
That would be great. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, you know, at the beginning, you know, we're really clear that you're going to do this at your own rhythm and your own pace and your own sounds. That is the way that we want you to go. Okay, that said, we'll have people start out with a single tone, just more, right? And that's fun. And everybody gets to play along with that. And then it's like saying, okay, now let's do a little higher and a little lower. And then it's like, all right, let's make them longer or shorter. So you might do oh, 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 oh. You know, let it go really long. Point is, we can go higher, we can go lower, we can go shorter, we can go longer, and then we can, you know, maybe use specific sounds. Like I like to teach vowels and say, you know, A, E, I, O, U, A, I, O. Okay, so we got that going on. So we have lots of different things. And then here's where it gets fun. I said, those all sounded really pretty, but what happens when we do ugly sounds? Now we're having fun. They're like, right? And just ugly it up. What happens then is that when people start to use some pretty sounds and then some ugly sounds, all of a sudden they begin to realize that there are energy blocks that within the body that get loosened up just by making the switch from ugly to pretty and back again. So there's some additional benefits to it
Oh no.
you differently when you're using ugly sounds versus pretty sounds. Not one better than the other. It's just they're just different. And now we're starting to pay attention to how these sounds affect us from a meditative standpoint and in our physical bodies. Because remember, when we're doing both, we're opening up the physical body and we're opening up our non-physical body to expanded states of awareness. So take it one more step. Okay, so we've done pretty, we've done ugly. Now, how about animal sounds? You know, because this is now in the tradition of totem spirits, or the shamanic tradition. So you've done some sounds, and now maybe you're going meow, meow. So you're sounding like a cat. Meow, woo, 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 woo. And so now we're sounding like a dog. And pick any other animal that's out there. And all of a sudden you begin to, oh, here's another layer of complexity that comes in, because now we're invoking the energetics of the animal totems that are out there. Plus, it also does different things to your body than either the pretty or the ugly tones. Now we're doing animal sounds, and that does a different thing to us in as well. Excuse me. So they all work, and they all affect us differently. So what is all this? You know, we got this kind of this multi-layered way that we're going through. That's kind of the surface of how we teach at Monroe about resonant tuning, because it affects the physical and the non-physical body. But there's another message that's underneath it, and that is that we need to get to a spot where we are now really confronting the unstated belief that we have to do this correctly. It's not about that. It's not about doing it correctly. It's just about doing it. And by doing short tones, long tones, A, E, I, O, U, ugly tones, pretty tones, dog, cats, crickets, I mean, the cicadas, I mean, oh my God. What that does is it begins to open up our curiosity. It begins to open up that playfulness, that joy that comes with discovery. And that is the most significant thing that you can do in working with expanded states of awareness. By entering into them in this state of openness, in this state of childlike playfulness, in this state of curiosity, that will take you more places than you can possibly imagine. So we've got a two-layered thing going on here. There's the thing that we can do on the top, which is the tones themselves, how they affect our physical body, how it affects our non-physical body. But most importantly is, how does it affect our attitude? How does it affect our intention as we move into these places? So that's the great joy of working with vocal toning, is that it works on so many different levels at the same time. And it's why it's in the centerpiece, right dead in the center of our preparatory process at the Monroe Institute.
So yeah, you covered a lot of stuff there. So there's not, if I'm gathering this correctly, and if I'm not, please let me know, that there's not a certain like pattern that you have to go down. There's not a certain protocol that you need to follow. It's more important that you're actually taking part in the vocal toning and the process of the vocal toning, versus like, nope, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. You have to do this first and then that. So it's more about the sound and the vibration that the sound is creating within to maybe loosen up some of that energy and get the energy flowing. Would you say am I understanding that correctly?
You got it. Now there are a number of camps. There's another camp that's over here that says, yep, we've developed a protocol for over 2,000 years and it works like $1 million. Bless their hearts. That's not our protocol. We have found that this state of curiosity and joyfulness and that childlike innocence that as you go in to explore this space is the thing that you need to connect with that space. And it also allows you the freedom to go and explore.
I love that. I think that's so important. And I think sometimes when there are defined rules and defined protocols to follow, then you get stuck. And
You get stuck.
I was guilty of this at one point when I was going through certain trainings, that I'm like, oh, I'm not connecting the dots properly. I'm not getting this. Why is this off? And I was getting so caught up on the protocol of it that I was way off the mark, because it wasn't about hitting the protocol and every single point on it. It was more about going through the process and the journey, and that is what opened you up, right? So yeah, I love that you just laid it out in those terms for sure.
I wish I know who said this. It's angels fly because they take themselves lightly.
Oh my gosh, can I use that? Can I post that?
It's yours. It's not original to me. I stole it from another one of my own trainers, Karen Malik, and um, it has served me well over the years. When I get in that spot you were talking about, in that spot where I was like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm not doing that. I missed step number 3. Oh my God. It's not about step number 3. It's about just doing it. And the lovely thing is, once you kind of get it figured out, you'll have things that work for you some days, and then other days it's like, oh, I'm going to try something else because that spot doesn't work for me anymore. Which, by the way, all of us have been in meditative states where all of a sudden the meditation goes thin. It's like it's like, ugh, it's not working for me. You could be 10, 12 minutes into it and it's like just ugh, nothing. That's when it's a great time to go back in and do another vocal toning. It just raises up our energy level in case we're getting a little flat, and it also helps then match with our intention so that we go where we need to go. It's not something I've heard a lot of systems talk about, but once we're meditating, we can go out, do some more vocal toning, go back in again, and it works like $1,000,000. So I offer that to your listeners as a nifty little trick to get you where you want to go, to kind of deepen and enhance your meditation.
So you can be in a meditative state, and if it's not, you're
Not
not,
working for you.
you're not letting go, you can come out of it, do some vocal toning, and jump back in.
Yep.
Okay.
And a lot of cases you don't even go out. You know, if you've been meditating for a while, you just stay in that meditative state and you add the vocal toning to it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
that's a wonderful tip. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And are there any benefits that have been linked to vocal toning that you could speak of?
there's a couple at Monroe that we use. One is that vocal toning really helps reduce your inner dialogue, because all of us have busy lives, and when you go to sit and meditate, sometimes it's just a lot of thinking. It just keeps running. You got that chatter going. Toning helps really reduce that. So, it's like another case of, oh man, I keep thinking about work. Give it a whirl. So that's a nifty thing. One of the things that I've used in when I'm not feeling well, I don't know, say I banged up my shoulder or something. What I invite people to do is to do vocal toning and then figure out what tone makes this vibrate. What tone makes your third eye vibrate? What tone makes, your fifth chakra vibrate? You can go and find the tones for each part of the body. It takes a little work to figure it out, but eventually you can then use that vocal toning to go, oh yeah, shoulder bugging me today, and you do it and you can feel it vibrate. You can feel it's moving there, and that will help release any of the energy blockages there, but then match that with visualizations of healing energy, which is another whole topic. But at Monroe, we use visualizations of green energy. So vocal toning, green energy, get those two things going together, and all of a sudden now you have a pretty powerful healing technique that you don't know anything else. You just need need your voice and you need your mind, and you know the healing mechanism is all you. So I like that part of it as well, and it also gets you really versed in um, how to be in touch with your physical body as you're doing these vocal tonings. It's a wonderful way to see how sound affects the physical world, in particular your body. Let me look at my notes here.
Yeah, and it goes back
Um,
to what you said
oh,
before, listening, like listening. So when you're talking about targeting a specific area of the body and seeing where that resonates and where you're feeling it, it's listening to the body. It's like, hey, I'm in touch and in tune with the body. We're working together. Where is that hitting in the body? Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
And probably the the last major um, benefit that I've got for toning would be um, there's a thing called down regulation. So when you know the body that we have right now, as we're sitting here doing this interview, the sympathetic nervous system is really engaged, and that's the system that responds to stress and to outside environment. And in a meditative state, what we want to do is to shift our body into the parasympathetic system, which is the system where we are relaxing, or digestion takes place. You know, there's all the things that we aren't really conscious about, but we like to get away from the responses from stress and move to the parasympathetic system. And in the process of doing that, what happens is that the bodies will shed excess energy that they've stored. And I don't know, your listeners, maybe you've had a massage. This happens a lot to me when and so the massage person is working on me, and all of a sudden I'll just go, boom, you get this shake in your body, and it's the body's movement into the parasympathetic, and it's releasing stored bits of energy. I don't know about you, but I store up in here because I spend a lot of my day in front of a computer, in the lower back, but in other places too. And all of a sudden you go, wow, what a release. And vocal toning can be really helpful that way. Just by doing it, it moves us into a place where we can release those stored energy that we really don't need, because we're not in this position where we're responding to a stressful situation. We're actually, on a stool meditating. So, all's right with the world. And it's a way of letting our bodies know that that's true, and to not store that. And that in itself, learning how to downregulate and release stored energy that we don't need anymore, is worth 17 health benefits. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's so important. And I'll tell you, I mean, just personally, if I do not exercise, if I'm not active in some way, like, watch out.
Yeah, it's time.
So, yeah, there's something to you releasing for sure. Absolutely. So let me ask you, is there a certain time of day people should be doing this? For anybody that has not yet tried it, is there a certain time of the day they should be doing it? Is there a certain type of environment they should be doing it in? What tips could you give for someone just trying this for the first time?
Ah, um, I would recommend doing it in the morning, only because if you wait until the middle of the day, you'll probably forget. Sorry, that's me. Or you get too busy and I can't do it today. So, and then in an environment that is distraction free. So you turn off your phone, you close the door, right? And you just have a space where you can be with you for a while. Take yourself out on a date, and have it, and just a nice little spot. And it doesn't need to be long. I mean, gosh, if you did 5 minutes of this, it would be unbelievable. And in in the preparatory process at Monroe, when we talk about those 5 steps, in total, it takes probably 5 minutes to do all of them. So you don't have to do them a lot or long, you just have to do them. And so that's my recommendation. Do it in the morning so you get a chance. Provide yourself a safe, distraction-free environment, and then just go for it and see what happens. It's as easy as that.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate you sharing that for sure, because I know I have been guilty of this at times where it's like, oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time for that. But I'll tell you what, when you make time for it, it's amazing how easy your other tasks of the day become, because you are way more focused and you have that clarity by taking that time. So you think you don't have that time, but you're actually saving a lot of time by taking that time, because you're way more focused when you get on with your day and you do other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. The other language would be we're much more centered. So we aren't so distracted by the other things that are going on in our lives. Focused, centered, same idea. And yeah, it actually saves you time during the day. So it's a freebie.
I love that. Thank you for taking all the pressure off of it. I appreciate it.
Done.
So yeah, so let's flip over to some of your personal favorite sounds. What are some sounds that when you hear them, I mean, it could be anything from like an instrument to nature to someone's voice. Like when you hear this sound, it's like, everything is just as it should be in the world.
Well, I happen. So this other day, I'm cruising through the internet, and I happened upon this video of a Mongolian rock band. And I had to wrap my brain around that, because I was like, what? And so, that tradition has in it very low resonant tuning. It's way down deep. Can't even do it like I can't do it like they do, because they can do it deeply and it's in their head. And it's for me that deep bass sound just makes life worth living. It's like if I was going to be a rock star, I'd be playing the bass. So it's
Yeah.
that's what I love, is and when I do my resonant tuning, I'll start out usually mid range and then drop low, because then my vocal cords are warmed up enough that I can actually hit some of those really low notes and hold them, and it's like that just opens everything up for me. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you.
And I discovered a whole new music genre on top of it.
Well, you know that when we're done, I'm looking that up, because what is that? Like, yeah, so I can't wait to experience it. In the future, how do you think sound will be used?
Oh, well, I know for certain that the binaural beats that were invented, that Bob Monroe started using, 40 years ago, were amazing and wonderful. But what's been done with them since is extraordinary. And now that we have the ability to monitor what goes on in the brain that we didn't have back then, and the ability to produce sounds are really extraordinary. And so what that has allowed me to do in my personal work is to enter into specific states of awareness that are associated with near-death experiences. Because each one of those has its own vibration, but now the technology has gotten so sophisticated that I can lead people through guided meditation into very specific states of consciousness. So if you wanted to explore the tunnel, we've all heard about the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, the tunnel is a really cool place. We just stopped there for a while, and and going to meet the dead relatives and having a life review and that area of life between lives. Each one of those has its own specific vibration, and we're able to enter into it now much more specifically than we were in the olden days. And so that's one thing I see us going. People that are smarter than me, I think we're going to use sound to do incredible healing work. And I know you've talked to and have interviews coming up with some really extraordinary healers that use sound for that. Bless their hearts, because I think that is a whole avenue that I can't wait to be to have more of the population become aware of, that we can really do some cool stuff. And then the higher frequencies. So as it gets up and up, we can now produce those where we couldn't before, and have them be efficacious. So I'm looking forward to that too. So in the area of exploration of human consciousness, yep, I know we're rocking on that already. And in the area of healing, those are the two areas that I see as being the future of this.
And thank you for the gift too. I mean, because the vocal toning, I really think that can be very therapeutic, and for sharing your tips and your advice and your direction on that today. I think that's something that you may not have like an 80-foot gong, or whatever it is, but
where do you put one of those?
yeah, exactly, right? So, but you can use your voice, and you have your breath, and you have your voice, and you can listen to that, right? Hopefully. So yeah, I think doing that internal experience is so powerful. So thank you for sharing that gift today, for sure, with us. And I think also it was so interesting to hear you talk about how different levels of vibration, right, can take us to different journeys. And it's very specific where we want to go, and the fine tuning on that as to, we want to go down this path. Here's the vibrational level that we need to be at in order to do so. And it's kind of like, almost like, I equate it as dressing for certain situations. If you're going to the gym, you're probably not going to wear a dress and heels. You're probably going to wear gym clothes, things of that nature, right? So you're reaching that vibration for the situation. And I think that's so cool. So is there anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up for the day?
Curiosity, playfulness, joy creates an openness that will allow us, that will take us so many places. So anything that you can do in your life that increases those will make your meditations better, and well, frankly, it'll make your life better too.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much, Scott. And I don't think you know this about me, but years ago I was traveling. I mean, I was traveling for like 7 years for work. It wasn't like, oh, let me pack a bag and just hang out for 7 years and go wherever, It was working like a lot of hours a week, but any time off I had, I would go out and explore as much as I could take in, right? And friends and family, it was hard to keep up sometimes, just because our work schedule was close to like 78 hours a week. And then I was, adventuring. So I started a blog, and I decided to call the blog Bohemian Babe Travels. And the babe part of that, bohemian, thinking outside of the box. The babe part is always like finding awe in new situations, like looking at everything through that child eyes, like through those, eyes of a children. So, you just want to kind of see it in a different way. So, and I try to incorporate that into every day. And it's interesting because, I'm the person that if I go hiking with someone, I'll see a leaf and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the veins on this leaf. Look at this, look at the coloring. And they're like, come on, let's go. But I'm like awestruck every day. And I think it's a choice. It's when we really stop and find the essence in something, and we can really appreciate that, because those, to me, those are like, they're not small things. Those are miracles all around us, you know, for something to develop in that way. It's like, wow, look at, like, extraordinary. You know, I mean, if I cut a strawberry, I'm like, wow, look at this strawberry, look at the inside, look at the shape, look at all these seeds. You know, it's like, right?
Oh, smell of them. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. So yeah, thank you for that reminder to be curious, to be playful. You know, I think that's so important, and that's such a really important key. At least in my life, it has been. So thank you for the reminder of that, right? So
My pleasure.
yeah, always wonderful to connect with you. Thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing, for, you know, sharing all of your knowledge with us. Or, well, I shouldn't say all, because I know there's so much more. We could do an entire series for years and years with everything that you possess. So thank you for sharing that with us. And yeah, we'll keep up with your journeys. But how do we do so? How can people find you?
The easiest way is to go to my website, and that is ndemeditations.com. So it's like near death experience, ndemeditations.com. And there's a contact page in there, and easy peasy.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks again. Very good to see you. And, you know, appreciate your time, your energy, and your presence here today.
Thank you, Christina. This has been a blast.
Always, always. Until next time, I think we have a series coming. So until next time. All right. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.